Good evening. Good evening, everybody. We are very excited to share our most recent uh, deal under contract. Um, it is in Scranton, Pennsylvania, near Scranton University. And this is a 20 unit project or 20 unit deal, and it consists of 10 duplexes, brand new construction duplexes. So I'm gonna just let everybody, for those of you that may not know, everybody on this call or the lead sponsors on the deal, I'm gonna just let everybody kind of give a quick background about themselves, and then we'll get into the specifics of the deal. I am a real estate entrepreneur. I own 5 vertically integrated companies, all relating to real estate investments and passive real estate investments. And my role in these particular deals is usually that of the broker. That's usually brokering the deal, taking it to closing, and then the asset management on the backside. I have spent the last decade plus formulating how to make real estate investments profitable through the asset management or the property management, and building an infrastructure that supports that. So many of our deals rely on that infrastructure to be successful. And for those of you that have been in other deals, you know that if you're going to have an issue in the deal, it's going to likely be the property management arm. Well, the good news is not only am I a partner on the project, but I'm also the one that owns the management company. So I take full responsibility of owning the results of it as well. I'm going to ask Robert to give a little bit about him.
Thank you, Jennifer. Um, Sorry, guys. Been fighting the flu for the last week and a half, so if I'm a little scratchy, that's the reason. But in any case, great to be on another call with this great team. We all have very separate skill sets and backgrounds for many different years, and over the last few years, we've been working together very closely. Our new team is part of Legacy Wealth Partners. Um, and we've been, moving in the multifamily space, industrial flex space, and student housing space for quite some time. I have been working with Jennifer probably about 7 to 8 years right now. She's been managing a lot of my properties. My background is 20 years in corporate America at senior levels in the luxury hotel and hospitality space. During that entire corporate career, where I was based in Manhattan and traveling all over the country and world, I was always investing in real estate, primarily in the state of Pennsylvania, even though I have a lot of holdings in North and South Carolina. Um, but I eventually left corporate America about 12 years ago to be a full-time real estate professional. I have ran my own property management company. I've done full-scale development from ground zero. I've done major rehabs with luxury C-class, B-class projects, historical districts. I've done project management, and I focus heavily on the sales, marketing, and investor relations side, overseeing a lot of these things right now as I have a um, heavy skill set as well in the underwriting class. So I really love this team because we have the right roles in the right positions, and we've been working really well and in sync over the course of the last few years on these particular projects. This deal is near and dear to me personally as well because I graduated from the University of Scranton in Pennsylvania, and this is one of the prime blocks at the university. So if I was to roll my clock back 30 years, which gulp, that's when I graduated, I would live on one of these blocks. So we've been looking for an asset in this particular prime location for the last few years, but haven't been able to get one into contract. So I'm really excited, along with my team here, to talk to you about why we like this asset. And just so you guys know, I get all sides of the fence. I'm a KP, I'm a GP, I'm an LP, I'm a hybrid of all three. I've syndicated deals, I own deals by myself, and I also have a bunch of JVs. So, any questions whatsoever on both sides of the fence, we got you covered. We don't just focus on large syndications and look for LPs. We specialize in several different types of asset class. We like to be diversified and offer different assets, different locations, and different creative structures. So excited to speak to you guys tonight, and I am going to pass it along to Marco so he can give you a little bit of background on himself for those of you who don't know him.
Yeah, normally don't like I don't like doing intros, but we have like a lot of people that are new tonight, which is cool. So, I'm Marco Barber. I'm 51 years old currently. My background it was IT. I graduated in 1996 from Fairfield, but I decided to go into the restaurant business with my dad and brother because I want to work with my dad, and I knew I was going to do very well, and I want to be an entrepreneur. Um, so at age 23, which I'm going to talk about a lot of my success, and I have Humble behind me. I owe all or most of almost everything to my father. 23 years old, he taught me how to buy a four family, which I knew nothing. And then I learned on my own, picked up some books and I read. And 2012 to 2019 in the upturn with me, my brother Jake, and Mike, more another partner, just the four of us, we purchased 1,800 units of our own money, no investors. Those are like the best deals. So that was in Tennessee. In 2020, now I'm a former 12-time award-winning chef at a family restaurant, not a fancy restaurant, but a family restaurant in Mayapack. I had the number one restaurant TripAdvisor um, in Mayapack. I sold the restaurant after 25 years of blood, sweat, and tears in that business, which was a great, I love it. I love being a chef, but I put my time in. And I sold it and I went full-time multifamily in 2020, which I was basically full-time while I was at the restaurant because I was working from home. I pulled back. And this year I closed 7 deals this year. This is gonna be my seventh. I'm closing an eighth of 37 unit next month. Currently, I now have 3,800 units. I'm part of two self-management companies, one in Tennessee that my partner Jake runs, about 2,000 units, and we started one in Kansas City with Chris Jackson, where my other market is, and we self-manage another 1,800 units, total about 33,800. And the important part of that is most people that are failing, as you've seen, heard about multifamily, is using third-party property management. So um, all my units are self-managed. So yeah, so in saying that, last thing is the most important thing is I'm a father of three daughters, and really excited about this deal because once they go over it, there's so many good things about it. There's exit strategies, this, that, and the other thing. So let me hand it over to Chad.
All right, good evening, everybody. Chad Gorman. I'm actually from Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, which is just about 15 minutes north of Scranton. So I'm fairly local here. I have been blessed this last summer with having the opportunity to walk away from my corporate America job. So now I am full-time into what I'm doing here with the team. Happy to say that we just closed as a team here, including myself, on the first deal yesterday. So we have a small 6 unit right across from the University of Scranton that we closed on. And some of you here as participants may also be in that deal. So congratulations to all of you as well. I have been in MIH for, I believe now, Marco, maybe 5 years or 4 years, early 2000s. Robin and I have been business partners on real estate deals for several years. Just joining the team here with Jennifer, and it's been quite a pleasure. My background is actually in environmental engineering. I graduated with an environmental engineering degree. I've never designed anything, but I went directly into management right out of college. I've managed all size jobs. My most recent um, position in the corporate world was operations manager for an oil and gas firm. I ran a sector of their business that had up to 300 employees at one point in time. I was managing, responsible for anywhere between 60 and 80 million dollars per year in revenue. So I have a very, very keen sense of managing numbers, and that's where I come into play here. I don't know if anybody is in the Tony Robbins world, but there's a saying, I love numbers and numbers love me, and that's me. That's the guy. So the other thing is I am an accomplished Tony Robbins member. I participate as a senior leader now in all of his events. So if you are in there, you might end up seeing me at one of those events as well. But what I like to bring to the team here is some clarity on the numbers. So as we get into the underwriting, I'm working very closely with Robert on managing some of the underwriting, making sure that we've got everything covered, scrutinizing every detail of that. And then also when we get into the project itself, looking at the revenue and the expense side of things and really breaking down exactly where we're at within the project. If we have any holes in the buckets, identifying where those holes are coming from so that we can figure out quickly right up front how to plug that and how to move forward. So I like to call myself, like Robert refers to me as the CFO of these projects. I like to refer to that as the chief of financial optics. Because that's really what I want to bring to the team, the optics of what financials can tell us so that we can make better decisions. So thank you very much for that introduction there. And I pass it back over to Jen.
All right, so we are going to go through an investment summary. We're going to go through the leasing opportunities, a little bit about the market, the demographics. We'll talk about the financials, the rent outlook, and then the cash flow. And then we'll jump into some questions. If we didn't say it already, just start piling your questions into the chat and we'll go through them at the end of this. And then we'll also open it up for any additional questions. So Scranton, Pennsylvania, it's definitely in a period of revitalization. You see a lot of influx of, other markets, New York, New Jersey, flowing into here. You might have heard me talk about this before, but, my businesses are based in the Lehigh Valley. And I made a very strategic decision a little less than a year ago to start diving into this Scranton market, so Lackawanna and Luzerne County. And the reason that I did that is because I believe the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area has very similar growth and dynamics and demographics that made the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania so stinking hot for so many years, and how many investors got really wealthy in real estate. Well, this particular market, not only from experience, but also with a lot of research, we are finding the exact same energy and synergies that create a really robust market. So the things that we look for in any particular market is strong rental demand, growth, jobs. We look for support from medical, industrial, e-commerce, universities. Those are some of the really key functions of the economy in these areas where it supports rental housing. And this particular market was something that we've been targeting for almost a year now. And I will say that I have been very pleased with the results that we've had thus far. And we're definitely looking to expand our footprint and our holdings in this particular area for quite some time to come. So this particular investment summary, as I mentioned, was 10 buildings. They're all duplexes. They're all brand new construction, and they're all in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And if any of you are familiar with this particular area, you can tell just by the names of some of these streets how close in proximity they are to the universities, but they're also in very close proximity to a lot of jobs, the hospitals, and many things that will support the rentals for these units for a long time coming. The breakdown here, hopefully this is not a little blurry because it is on my end because I blew it up, but they're all 2-bedroom, 1-bath homes. And as I mentioned, they're all brand new construction, and you can see the range. They go anywhere from about 1,900 square feet to about 2,300 square feet. I mean, these are absolutely beautiful homes. The rents are averaging from 1,600 to about 1,900. The market is actually higher than that. So one of the things that, the partnership agrees on is that we are not necessarily the type of investors that target new construction. And the reason behind that is that, the feeling is you want to have value add. You want to be able to come into something. You want to be able to create some value, create some equity, and you want to create additional cash flow. So usually if you come into new construction, you assume that it's at the top of the market in price points. We don't enter new construction from that area. We always want to make sure that no matter what the asset class is that there's still a value add component to it. And we can stand firm and say that we firmly believe that The rents that they're currently averaging are just that. They're average. They're not top of market, and there is still some play there, while being the fact that it's brand new construction and we really don't have to worry about the long-term deferred maintenance.
Yeah, Jen, I'd love to jump in for two
Sure,
seconds on that
please.
point. So, yes, you're exactly right. The majority of our projects are more of an add value. And we've done, everything from heavy, heavy construction to completely gutting buildings down to the studs to, construction from raw land. However, we have to realize where we are in 2025, right? So for some of us, like myself and Jen and Chad and Marco, who have been doing this for a very long time, we've been through many different market cycles, right? So what I'm starting to see right now, and I was alluding to the guys this morning about it to the team, sorry, guys and girls, guys is, universal. But we were basically talking about, I'm starting to see 2026 and 27 shape up to what I've seen in 2018 and 2019. So, as all of us are affected right now in this world, from the cost of eggs to the cost of milk, same with tenants. You have a lot of tenants who are looking at rent stabilization, who are having difficulty with vacancies and delinquencies, especially in the C and B class asset. This is more of an A class asset, which means that we mitigate risk because of the fact that they have higher paying jobs, higher credentials for higher rents in an asset as such. And these particular tenants could be our next home buyer when things loosen up over the next 2 years, 3 years. With that being said, we are not marketing this deal as such. However, there is a potential exit strategy number two, um, to do something that I've done in the past and we've been talking about as a team, which is potentially offering a rent to own option, right? Now, we're all familiar with the term house hack. So just think about it. In the next year or two, you have a high-end tenant with a good job, built up some disposable income, maybe got their credit scores up over the last, 18 months. Now they're interested in buying their own home and or investment. What more of a perfect asset than buying a home that's 2 years old that has an ability to rent out one side while living in the other side, basically almost living house free? Your perfect house hack, right? So by that particular time, the four of us with assurance will keep an eye on cap rates, we'll keep an eye on values and comps in the area. And if we feel that there could be a time to exit with that particular strategy in mind, we may entertain that exit. And a rent to own strategy is a good one. I've done it when I've done projects with other municipalities and I've bought blighted houses that I've renovated and gutted out and then rented. I gave these options to other tenants. I've told them your rent is 1,500, but I'll give you a rent to own option. And your rent would be $2,000. If you want to rent to own, we sign a 1 year lease. $500 goes into an escrow account. And then in 1 year from now, we'll regroup. And if you are ready to purchase the home, your escrow is utilized as a partial or a full payment towards your deposit. And if they back out, you keep the escrow. You either keep renting to them or they vacate and you re-rent and you redo the strategy with another particular person. So there is a great opportunity there. The other key thing that I really want to focus in on, so all of you as investors can understand about this deal and maybe others, is that we are in a very, very precarious time right now when it comes to expenses and operating costs and fees. And the team knows that I am a pain in the you know what when we underwrite deals and when we look at anything, because I clearly see the drastic increases in price points that have occurred over the last 5 years, especially from COVID to today, right? So everything has been affecting multifamily property managers, especially, right? Everything down to changing your hot water heater, to changing the faucet, to getting your lawn mowed, the price of roof, the price of shingles, the price of paint. So when you have a new product like this, especially where you're able to separate all of the utilities and pass them on to the tenant. Okay, even though there might not be major add value if you're buying a property at 25,000 a key, putting 50,000 into it, and then basically selling it at a much higher exit price. There's other ways that we're building NOI, not just on the good price point that we're in, conservative underwriting with rents, but we're going to be managing and operating the property very efficiently. So our expense ratios are low. The cost of deferred maintenance is removed. Our CapEx and reserves are very limited. And then most of the utilities are passed on to the tenants. So those are key factors to understand. And with that in mind, we're still able to put together a very strong deal conservatively that has been outpacing other deals that I've seen on the market with much more risk. So we've mitigated the risk. We have an expert team. We're in a growing market. We have new construction, and we have a 10-year tax abatement that's giving us an ability to offer a wonderful project to our investors. So I want to really make sure that you're all clear on that when you're, analyzing the deal, because I think a lot of people look at deal to deal to deal. Sometimes you just focus on the numbers. You forget about the experience of the team. You forget about the growth and saturation of a market. And then you also forget about things that are commonly overlooked, which is the inability to really mitigate risk with unknown factors in vintage properties and things of that nature. So very key points that mitigate risk and hedge risk by buying a new property like this in a growing market, with self-management as such. So take it away, Jen. I just wanted to kind of get that out because I thought those were really important points as if I was an investor coming into the deal myself.
Agreed. Thank you. So we talked a little bit about strategic location, the accessibility. Again, if you're not familiar with where Scranton is on the map in Pennsylvania, it is literally at the intersections of 80, 81, 380, 476. So all routes, north and south, east and west, come right through Scranton. So the accessibility is crazy. If you're trying to get to, New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, you name it, you can get there. One of the really big expansions that is planned for this particular area is the train expansion that is going to provide direct rail service to New York City. And Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that 2028 that's planned for?
I put it in the chat, Jen, about 15 minutes ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I gave everybody information on the status of the Scranton to New York Rail.
Oh,
And
thank you.
possible completion is 2028-29. I
Yep.
remember very vividly that in January of 2025, they received state approval. So now they're working on the infrastructure. And they're projecting that it could be about 2028-29. And just so you know, I mean, this is a huge situation because they're projecting about 500,000 people a day going back and forth. That's basically just so you could put things into perspective. I grew up in New York. I lived in Brooklyn, Queens. I worked in Manhattan for 20 years. I lived in Long Island for 20 years. That's Long Island has close to 600,000 people going to Manhattan every day for work. It's equivalent to almost what Long Island is bringing into Manhattan, what Scranton would bring to New York. And it's still under 3 hours with all the stops. They'll probably have some express trains that get you there in under two, and then other trains that get you there in under three. So that could be potentially very huge. And 2028-29 seems like it's a long time from now, but we're already close to 2026. So this could be a very big piece of business. Naturally, it brings jobs, it brings growth, it helps single family housing stock, and so on and so forth, especially in a day and age right now where you have Wall Street executives to accountants to even doctors and psychiatrists working from home 2, 3 days a week. So you could live elsewhere outside of the city corridors, and get to the city when you need here and there, and these train services will help tremendously.
So population, 76,000 people, medium age, 37 years. This area has been growing in household income since 2023 and is consistently growing year over year. Currently, the median property value is 174,000. I'm sorry, the median, that's actually an error. Median household income is what it should say, is 171,005. I'm sorry, 141,700. And there's a 50% owner occupancy, which means the other 50% is our renter population, which is a very, very high average. So we talked a little bit about some of the employers in the area. We've got the healthcare infrastructure from Geisinger to Wilkes-Barre General, and I mean you name it. There's pretty much everything in this area. So very robust healthcare infrastructure, and then we've got not only the health systems, but then we've got the tech and the education. We've got strong manufacturing. So we've got a very balanced and stable economy, which are things that we're looking for when we're trying to pick a market for rental properties. Housing demand and rent trajectory, stable growth. Despite some monthly fluctuations, rent levels remain attractive and they've been trending upward. There's solid demand. There's that value upside that we've been talking about. And the risk reduction is, the lower entry costs and lower price points makes Scranton a little bit more accessible. So if you were trying to compare a similar home, similar size, similar, bedroom count, bathroom count, whatever, in the Lehigh Valley, it would have a significantly higher price point. So when I talked before about the entry into this market, not only are we looking for the strong demographics that support our housing, but we're also looking for that critical component to any deal, which is the entry cost. So if we were trying to buy in this area a few years from now, we're going to already have missed the mark. So we needed to make sure that we were tapping into a market that could support the housing demand, but also have a good entry price that allows these deals to cash flow. Oh, sorry. Happy fingers. Migration trends. So you see a rising diversity in this particular area. And then again, you're seeing population growth, household income growth, and all of the key factors that make this area great supports for the rental market. So, I would consider these properties, although they are new construction, I would consider them to still be B class. Why? Because they are duplexes. They are single family homes. This is not a amenity driven large apartment complex, but they are A class in a condition and in a B class market. Okay, is what I would consider this. So what that means is that we have a balance of risk and reward, right? Having new construction homes means that your CapEx is considerably lower, right? You've got a much longer chance that you're not going to have to replace roofs or heating systems or water heaters and all those things that directly impact your cash flow. And because these are single families or duplexes, we also don't have common area utilities or landlord paid utilities. Like all of the utilities on these properties will be solely on the responsibility of the tenant, which makes that overhead extremely low. So you balance that with, the tenant population, that value add potential, and this just really makes a very sound deal. Chad, do you want to talk a little bit about the returns?
So we're 1 second before you give returns. And this is going to be to the new people here, to multifamily. If you've never invested in multifamily, if it gets confusing, Robert will get on with you, and so will I, and explain returns. They are actually really, really great returns. But even before returns, what I always tell people is you just don't, like Kinjal knows, who's here. He knows me from Jake and Gino. We've been knowing each other for about 5 years now. My Dr. Gupta in New York, he's got about $3-4 million with me. He's in 22 deals with me. Even when you see returns, I always say you just don't invest in the deal, you invest in the people with the deal. Like the most important thing is the beginning of us introducing ourselves. I currently, on my 52 deals, I have 30 that are generational wealth that are just me and 3 partners going to my kids. The other 22 are syndications. We're doing great. Those are transactional. And I believe in this space, whether in a recession of 2008 or I've been investing since 1998. So I've been through 2007 and to 11. I've been through 2023 and 24 and this multifamily recession. And I'm going to get to 70. I'm at 54 deals. Actually, when these close, I'm going to get to 70 deals and I'm going to get to 80 deals because I have companies built that can support that. So once they go over these great returns, just remember returns aren't that important, whether they're low or high, because the deal's always going to project. If we have a good deal, going to project returns. It's really the team. So don't be focused into the returns, even though the equity multiple is 2.3, which he's going to go over, which is excellent. But I just want to say that the team is the most important part to pull a great deal through. So go ahead, Chad.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So
Marty.
on this project here, we are buying in at a little over $4 million for the total project. It's going to be about a $230 per unit or $460,000 per building purchase. Going into it with a capital stack, a raise of 1.5 million, and the returns are quite strong, as you can see here, an IRR of 15 and a quarter. We got an annual return of a little over 16 with a 2.3 equity multiple. We expect to do a refinance in year 4 and then an exit and sale in conjunction with the LRTA exemptions. That's the tax breaks that we're getting on all these in year 8. So that will leave anybody that's looking to buy the property a little bit of room. They've got 2 to 3 years after they purchase that before the LRTA exemption runs out. And that's one of the big key factors on this particular project that really attracted it to us. All of these properties are tax exempt from the improvement perspective. So we've got an extremely low tax rate because we're being taxed right now only on the property itself. And that allows us to get these returns that you normally wouldn't see on a project like this at this cost. So the tax breaks have been huge for us. It's allowing us to push up a lot of the returns. And then, as I mentioned, the sale at the very end allows somebody else to take advantage of that for several years as well. So here's an example, and we usually include this with all of the presentations. An example of a member capital, member return. If you were a $50,000 investor, you would look at in the 8 years that we're going to plan on holding this, 131% return with a 15.25, as I had mentioned, and a 2.3 equity multiple.
All right, I am going to stop share and we should open this up for some questions. But before we do that, I wanted to just talk a little bit more about the LRTA for people that may not fully understand what that is. But that is, and Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 10 years, right? It's a 10-year tax abatement.
That's correct, yes.
So if we talk about that in conjunction with the hold period, right? We talked about a refi at year 4. We talked about an exit somewhere around year 8. And that's before we even consider some of the creative options that Robert was talking about. So something that is really critical to understand is that we would be exiting, or the plan is to exit these deals. Exit this deal long before the tax exemption is over, right? So, that's a really, really critical component. And although we are looking at the option of selling the homes or doing a rent to own option, we would only be doing that if we're going to maximize the velocity of capital, right? It's funny because Robert, Chad, and I were on a call earlier today, and we were talking about this, right? We talk about all these like scenarios that we can do with these projects, and we love these projects that give us multiple exit strategies, because the more exit strategies you have on any one deal, the safer the deal is overall, right? But we don't underwrite deals for those exit strategies. We underwrite the deal as it stands today. So as it stands today, this is a buy and hold strategy. So that's how we underwrote it. That's how you see the returns that you're seeing. So if we were to do any of those other strategies, it would be to bolster those returns, right? Or, again, if the market changed and we needed to have a different exit strategy, it gives us some flexibility. So I just wanted to mention those things because I think that that was a critical component. So I'm going to just read down the list here of questions.
Jen,
and
here's an important one I just saw pop up. What is the minimum investment? Is it 50,000 or 100 on this one?
I just responded on that. We were gonna go down the list one by one, but I've just been responding to some of these while I can. But it's a 506B and minimum investment is 50,000 at this point.
Okay, excellent.
And what does 506B mean? For those of you who don't know, non-accredited investor, and a 506C is an accredited investor. And then there's specific definitions for each of those particular categories, and we're more than happy to talk to you guys about that as well. Also, I always like to say this, the guys know, just going back years and years ago. I'm a big networker as well. Jennifer is, Chad is, Marco is. We're in the area. Okay. So that's another thing too. We're not trying to sell you a deal in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're on the other side of the country. This is our backyard. This is our familiar ground. We're all boots on the ground. Chad lives 10 minutes away. Okay. Jen lives an hour away. I'm 2 hours away. Like I said, I graduated from college in this particular city. We are in Pennsylvania every week. Two of us live in Pennsylvania daily. All of our projects are within close proximity, and it's very, very rare that you have a trusted property manager. That's one of the biggest issues nationwide right now. And trust me, Chad and I own in South Carolina. I've we may have let go of 7 property managers over the last 7 years alone. So, and that's because we have an extensive property management and project management background. So we see things happening before they happen, and we've been managing the manager. So, you got a lot of, expertise, boots on the ground, and experience in this market. And the one beautiful thing, like we've mentioned several times, is that this is going to be less management intensive, but great exit opportunities as well. So, but Jen, you want me to do this? Let me go down.
So I
Let me,
just skimmed through it as you were talking. Kinjal had a question about rubs, and we're using rubs. You don't need to Kinjal for this particular asset class because they're all individually separately metered. And we won't have a need to bill anything back because all of the tenants will be paying separately. But I see you have your hand raised. So do you have additional questions that we didn't get a chance to answer yet?
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for this. I have probably a couple of questions. I think the first one probably is more for Marco, which is a very a general question in the sense of when he mentions generational wealth. Maybe if he can explain how the property ends up being a generational wealth property. That's the first question. The second question is more for the group, which is what are we anticipating the capex and any property insurances in that area and things like that. Which obviously I don't know. I haven't seen the underwriting yet, but just want to
I'll
get an idea.
basically,
Yeah.
yeah, Kinjal, I'll start and then let Marco end it. So basically, those are great questions, right? And another very, very big talking point that's crushing people today is insurance, right? It's state to state, nationwide, all 50 states. It's criminal, folks. I get it. Insurance is terrible, right? From Florida to California, from the hurricanes to the fires, it's crushing all of us. It's almost criminal. Like, how is this happening to us in America right now, where insurance rates are skyrocketing like this? In some cases, they're going up 30 to 50%. Even if we're buying a particular property and we see insurance at $10,000 and nothing changes, premiums are going up to 40% just on the purchase, right? And nothing's changed. It's insane. But guess what? Here's another benefit of a new property. Insurance companies love the newer properties. Why? Less risk. Okay. New roof, new plumbing, new electric. Okay. So we've gotten some very, very attractive insurance quotes. We have national providers, okay, that have major relationships with other carriers out there. And as a matter of fact, and Chad, you can keep me straight on this, but I think my budget in the underwriting was originally X, and I think the underwriting came in slightly under on the insurance quotes that we got, right? So we've actually beat budget by a couple thousand, if I'm not mistaken already.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's something
we
we
have
haven't. Yeah.
that is not included, that buffer there on the numbers that I just provided. So there's some wiggle room. I'm still going to look at this and underwrite it with a slightly higher insurance, just
Right.
because after closing, we want to make sure that we protect ourselves. But the quotes that we originally got, there's about a couple $100 per unit buffer that we have built into there. Yes.
Yep. You're seeing insurance premiums today on some of the vintage properties and even vintage, meaning 1998, and above, close to 800 to $1,000. And because this is a brand new property with a lot less risk, and another key point here is they're all separated. So we got insurance premiums close to 500 or under on these particular properties. So that's a great question, Kinjal. What was the other one you
It was
had?
about what makes a deal a generational wealth deal. He was asking Marco. So
Correct.
Marco,
That
what
was
makes the
Marco.
deals
So,
a
so
generational wealth deal for you?
Kinjal, you're in the 6 unit with us. That's more of a possibility of a generational wealth deal, where it's just like 5 partners, and it doesn't matter what we do. We're not worried if we don't take draws. Like, we might not take draws for a year because we're just being careful on reserves. We might sell in year 15 or 20. We might sell in year 7. We're really not worried. This deal is more of a transactional deal. We have more of a responsibility to investors, like ethics, as in we're going to have more investors, so we're more worried about returns and are we selling? Are we refining year 4, and then when are we going to sell year 6? We're more worried about that. So this is a syndication, not a generational wealth deal. Is just when there's like 30 of my deals have 4 partners, and we don't have to worry about investors, so we could do whatever we want. Sometimes we don't take draws for 2 years. We're just building up the bank account, and we're gonna hold it. Like a couple deals I have with my brother since 2012, 13, we're never selling those. Those are going to my kids. So we do have those in the future also. They're once in a while, these the bigger deals are usually easier to come by for us.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. So it looks like
I think that's all the questions that are in the chat that I saw. Does anybody have any
There
additional
was
questions?
I see a few more. Let me go
Oh,
over those.
sorry.
It's okay.
just a question about bonus
Oh,
depreciation.
We
sorry.
do, but we also have one up here. Who's the builder warranties reputation? And then where are you gathering all this information? We responded. Yep. And then bonus depreciation as well. Okay.
So builder, his name is Adam. The last name is escaping me. You should never ever count on me to remember anybody's name ever. Like, I will memorize your social security number like nothing else, but I cannot remember somebody's name. But he's a very reputable builder in this particular area. We've actually met him personally. Ironically, we know him through other colleagues of ours, both Robert, mine, and Chad's, I'm sorry, and Marco's colleague. Jeff knows him really well. He builds very quality work, right? It's very, very tip top shape. He does a great job, finishes everything completely, is always compliant. And the good thing about new construction is you got to have your permits cleared, right? You're not getting the final certificate of occupancy without everybody breathing down your neck. And from experience, I will tell you that Scranton specifically, oh Lord, are they tough? They are really, really tough. Probably some of the toughest inspectors I have met to date in my career. So the good news is with new construction, you have to provide that. They have to clear everything. They've got to get their warranties. They've got to get their COs. And with everything new, we also have roof warranties, HVAC warranties, water heater warranties, window warranties. I mean, you name it, we have warranties galore. So great question. Robert, do you want to talk about the bonus depreciation, or Chad?
Yeah, no problem. I see, Hendra, how are you, buddy? Glad you can make it. I know you're out and about with the kids with sports this week. I know how that feeling is. Good to have you. Yes, we are taking advantage of bonus depreciation. And for those of you who are not familiar with what Hendra's question was, are you going to take advantage of the bonus depreciation? He's referring to cost segregation, which is a basic tax strategy that that breaks down a property's components like flooring, landscaping, lighting, construction over a 5, 7, 15-year period instead of the typical 27 and a half years. So in 2025, your bonus depreciation was scheduled to drop to 40% based on the 2019 Jobs Act. But the new legislation from January of 2025 is bringing it back up to 100%. So the timing of this deal in 2025 is crucial because it'll accelerate our ability to, deduct taxes, boost cash flow, and defer taxes for all of our investors. So great question. Almost every single deal that we're implementing into the portfolio will take advantage of cost segregation. And this is one of my pet peeves when I review other people's underwriting. I don't know why, but I see a lot of underwriting, even with some savvy investors who do not incorporate taxes and cost segregation in their underwriting. But these are costs that you have to absorb, and they affect NOI, they affect value, they affect CapEx. I have these all in my budgets. Okay, so we have year one cost segregation, which is a one-time charge, and I have accounting in every single year. Okay, we get down to the fine tooth needle on every single line item. We're not just going over the 50-60% of expenses that are normal. We get down into the fire and safety, the snow removal, the commissions that may be due by vacancy, the turnovers that might be due with the vacancy. These are all things that are going to hit you. And this is why you're seeing a lot of inexperienced investors in trouble because they do not know how to underwrite deals. And they think they have experience, but they don't because they're just going over templates and items from a course that they don't really have the experience. So we break it all down for our investors. Um, and it's very, very important to get into the underwriting now. That's our litmus test. If worst case scenario underwriting still represents a good deal, we get into it. Now, of course, anything can happen, but you mitigate risk and you protect yourselves. So great question, Hendra. And yes, we are participating.
Great questions. And I think that's all we have in the chat, at least that I skimmed and saw. So if there's any additional questions, we got a few minutes left before we're going to conclude for the evening. We did record this, so Marco will send out the recording after, and we'll send the PowerPoint as well so that you can review it along with the financials. But if there's any additional questions, I would say just unmute yourself and shout it out at this moment while we still have a few minutes.
Kinjal, I'm going to give you my Calendly link. Anybody that you're friends with that wants to meet me and Robert and Jennifer one-on-one, they could book with me and my Calendly, and I can pass it on to Robert, make sure he can make the time. If they have to do night times, I can do nighttime also. Normally, I'm 9 to 5 with my Calendly link, but if they need a nighttime, I could book a nighttime call. Even if you're not investing, I still want to meet you. So it's not just about the deal. It's about, if it's not this deal, we are going to be doing this many, many deals next year as they come along to opportunities. I'm trying to think what else.
I'd like to piggyback on that with Marco as well. This is just kind of something that I always like to bring to the table. If anybody lives in the local tri-state area or market or is in town, contact us. Even if you're not interested in this deal, network with us. We'll go out in the market with you. We'll have lunch, we'll have dinner, we'll have breakfast, we'll have it all. We'll do a breakfast, food, and dinner triathlon. Whatever you want. We're all about building relationships. The most important thing that I can bring to the table at 51 years old, doing, sales and marketing for 30 years since I graduated from college, is that the relationship comes first. Okay? We build relationships. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know your family members. I want decisions that we make are going to affect all of us. Every single real estate investor gets into trouble at one point because of things that are out of their control, market conditions, micro, macro, whatever the case may be, unexpected mistakes. We want to be on a team, and you want to be on a team where you trust the people that are on the team. You have relationships, and we're going to get through the great times together and succeed and have success and celebrate. And if anything gets rocky, we want to be on a ship that if it hits an iceberg, we're not sinking. We're going to keep that baby afloat and we're still going to get to the destination safely. So meet with us, break bread with us. That's what we do. We don't want you to just invest blindly. Ask any and all questions and come meet with us and see if we have synergy and you like us. See if you like the area. Maybe this isn't the right deal, but maybe something in the future will. We have multifamily projects, we have development projects, we also have industrial flex space. So lots of stuff going on. So please keep that in mind.
This is one thing I want to say, Rob, for new investors, before I get Kindle's question. This is a safe, easy deal if you're new to multifamily, because yes, I do my crypto. I call it the casino because of the volatility. It's crazy. I have a little crypto. I have some stocks, which I call fake paper. Multifamily is real brick and wood. I like to buy real brick and wood, just like something like gold. Um, but this is a safe, easy, boring deal for us because it's a new build. We buy some C class, which is older buildings like 1980, 1990, which have like $2 million value add projects on them, which is some serious stuff. You're going in evicting people who are doing drugs, alcoholics, just bad tenants. That's none of this. Like if you are new to multifamily, I don't like to get new people into heavy C class because that's a lot of work. But something like this is a great deal to start where there's not much going on, but Jennifer, us leaning on Jen and pushing her to just operate, to maintain occupancy, fill units, and make sure units are full. It's a lot better of a deal. Kindle, you have a question?
Yes, real quick. I just saw somebody posting also that when are we planning to close the deal? So just to piggyback on that, I just want to
Good
know
question.
what's the timelines in terms of due diligence, wiring, closing, all of that. So yeah.
Great question. So, due diligence is complete. And we are anticipating closing December, I would say early December. It's end of November right now, but the reality is probably middle of December. And that's because there is still one home that is under construction. So one duplex out of the 10 is still under construction. So we expect to be closing late November, early December, based on that final construction because we are requiring the entire project to be complete. So all 10 homes, 20 units prior to closing. Great question.
Ben has a question. Tell him your
Yep.
process of investing, please. Like between the wire and signing documents, et cetera, et
Yep.
cetera.
So we use a platform called Invest Next. And we will get this property into Invest Next over the next week or two, I would say. And then we will be immediately starting to raise. So prior to that, you can certainly email me or Chad or Robert and give us your soft commitments, right? And we'll mark it down. These deals are always first come, first served, and we usually over raise, right? So it is important for you to get in there, as soon as possible. But if you want to just shoot us an email until we're live in the portal, you could do that. Once we're in the portal, you'll be able to go through your funding commitment. You'll be able to sign the legal docs. You'll get access to the wire instructions, and then you'll wire. But the process is soft commit, then firm commit in the software, sign your docs, then wire, then we go to closing. Okay.
So guys, the size of the raise is only 1.5. Usually the deals I do when I do syndication are usually $4 to $6 million raises. I wrote a book with I have 295 students. I'm a mentor for a mastermind. I wrote a book, Attracting Capital. I've raised over $95 million for 22 syndications that aren't generational wealth, that I don't have. So this is fairly very easy raise for us. Technically, I really want to what I normally do is try and get two investors at 500K, like doctor friends of mine, and then I'll put the rest, But we're opening this up to investors, and it's a small one in this market cycle and in this time of what's going on. I don't want to do big raises right now. I'm not looking for the big $4 million, $5 million raises. I love deals like this that are $1.5 million raise where I could get two big investors at 500K each, or I could just open it up and have like SIP is going to be investing at 50K, and most of my doctors do 100 to 500,000. That's what they usually do. But if you're new, when somebody's new, I always tell them you don't know us yet. Put 50K. You don't have to go 100K. You could start out, dip your toe in the water, like Dr. Gupta says. Get to know us, and then if you like the draws that come in, you see the progress of the property, you like the work ethic of the team. Put 100K in the next deal if you're sitting very, very liquid. All right.
Chad and I just dropped our emails into the chat, so please take a moment to copy that. And if you want to get on the list for as soon as the raise is in the or the deal is in our investment portal, we'll certainly send you the links. But if you think that you want to commit, this is just a verbal soft commitment at this point. Just let us know. We'll put you on the list. And like I said, first come, first serve. If you'd like to have any further conversations with myself, Chad, Robert, Marco, you can also email us and we'll be more than happy to get on the call with you and talk a little bit more about this deal or any other deal that we're currently working on. But and Robert put his information in there as well. So happy to always share our wealth of knowledge and anything we can about the local market and why we live here, invest here, and just love it here. And thank you guys for joining us tonight. Really, really appreciate your time and your commitment to staying on with us.
All right. Let me one last thing. I want you guys to check my Facebook page. I put my website in the chat. You could go look at my bio, my family, and all that stuff. Like Rob says, we want you to get to know us. So I put that up. But I just want to thank once again Jennifer. Great job, Jennifer and Robert and Chad. Thank everybody for coming. And please reach out. You have the emails, questions, and Kindle, I'll be giving you my info. You already have my info, but I'll give you the accounting stuff. All right.
Thank you.
Have a great night, guys.
Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.